Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 30th of January 2024, and these are the stories that we will be highlighting during the course of our show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the terrorist attack that was repulsed in Mach in Balochistan. Security forces thwarted 3 coordinated attacks that were launched by terrorists using rockets and sophisticated weapons in Mach town on Monday night, some 70 kilometers from the provincial capital. Railway, police stations and central jail were targeted. There was a timely reaction by our armed forces, and of course we all know that the BLA was behind this. The BLA terrorists did fire raid attempts in Balochistan, and now most of them, and of course all of this has now been thwarted thanks to the timely response by the forces. But there was again a false propaganda that was being propagated by India through BLA and directly as well. This fabricated propaganda of India and BLA has also been defeated. At the same time, funeral prayers of the SHO Mach Shaheed Sayyid Saab has also been observed today. He was of course martyred in this exchange of fire between these terrorists and the security forces. But of course this incident is a sad reminder of the fact that despite attempts by Pakistan to tell our not so friendly neighbor India that it needs to refrain itself, and in the past also we have tried all our best to kind of sit on the table and talk on the thorny issues, but India has not only refused, it has tried to destabilize Pakistan directly and indirectly, and now with its involvement in extra-national, transnational terrorism, proofs of which have been obtained in Canada, in the US, and also in Pakistan very recently when 2 people were targeted by raw agents. It seems that India fails to understand that maybe measures will be taken by the international authorities to change that attitude. This will be our first story, the terrorist attack that was repulsed in Mach in Balochistan. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns day 116 of the conflict, the war, the genocide that is happening in Palestine as we speak. The number of casualties are increasing with every passing day, although there is some kind of hope that comes in the form of a new truce proposals that has been given to Palestine, and it says that the priority is to stop the brutal aggression against Gaza and complete withdrawal of the occupation forces. It says it is ready to achieve permanent ceasefire, but in stages. Whether that happens or not, the next couple of hours and days will ascertain that. But at the same time, when we look at Israel and what it is doing, whether it be Gaza or whether it be the West Bank, where the Israeli commandos disguised as medical staff and civilians gunned down 3 men in Jenin's Ibn Sina hospital in the occupied bank, alleging that they plan to carry out terrorist attacks. How low can you stoop to kill people mercilessly the way they are being killed as we speak in Gaza and in the West Bank? 26,637 people have lost their lives because of this brutality of Israel. More than 65,000 have been wounded, and the list goes on and on and on. And you add to that the lack of water, the food and medical supplies and facilities to the people who are being told after some time to be displaced from one area of Gaza to another area, and slowly and steadily the Israeli forces are creeping in. This is the actual situation, although the United Nations Security Council will be meeting tomorrow as well to discuss different aspects of this very situation. But will there be any resolution coming out of it? Only time will tell. Next, we'll be talking about Elon Musk, who's announced his first Neuralink wireless brain chip implant. He says his company has successfully implanted one of the wireless brain chips in a human for the first time, and it promises to control the neural spikes or nerve impulses. And he says that the patient where it has been implanted is recovering quite well. Not the first organization that has done so, but nevertheless, step in the right direction. Finally, we'll be talking about the Webb telescope that has captured 19 different galaxies. A batch of newly released images captured by the James Webb Space Telescopes show in remarkable detail 19 spiral galaxies residing relatively near our Milky Way that offer new clues on star formation. Of course, we are all very obsessed with that and fascinated by that as well as galactic structure and evolution. This is going to be our last rule. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns the terrorist attack that happened early in the morning, late at night, early in the morning, however you put it, Monday night, and that was repulsed very effectively by our armed forces. We've been joined by Brigadier retired Raashid Wali Janjua Saab. He's a senior analyst. Thank you very much, Janjua Saab, to have joined us. Janjua Saab, I'd like to understand coordinated attacks, 3 different places that are struck at the same time using rockets, sophisticated weapons. Is this, in your point of view, a continuation of a deliberate attempt to destabilize Pakistan, whether it be by the BLA, whether it be through India, through ROD, indirectly or directly? And what is the ultimate goal?
Yes, this is a continuation of the same destabilizing campaign. And the overall objective is obviously to create instability, to foment unrest, to spawn a climate of fear, and to destabilize Pakistan. They are encouraging a full-fledged insurgency against the state. And it's not a few militants were taken to the mountains so that only because their grievances were not assuaged. These are the people who have taken this route because they are being actively encouraged. There's some ideological direction with them, and they have chosen this path of particularism, clearly secure in the knowledge that there is a supply chain from external sources that is providing sustenance to this insurgency. And it's a full-fledged proxy warfare. And we must understand this, that various manifestations of this war are information war, the use of militancy, the use of propaganda as a tool, and agitation by the activists. We have seen an agitation in Islamabad, which was billed as a humanitarian issue by the liberal-leaning fringe, but unfortunately, that is a very myopic understanding of the underlying malaise. We know that there are organizations like BLA and BLF who have taken the route of militancy. They are being actively encouraged by Indian RAW, and they have been getting refuge in Afghanistan as well as Iran. And once they operate from those secure sanctuaries, there is a whole network which is being operated by RAW, which supports them. And that is how they have launched over 168 attacks in 2023 alone, in Turbat alone. And 66 people got killed. So this is an insurgency which needs to be stamped out, and the nations have to display resolve. It cannot be done through soft peddling of the issue. And over projection of the human angle and human rights angle does not redound to the advantage of a state which is resolute in stamping out the vestiges of this insurgency. We know this Mach attack, which was launched, and unfortunately, it has been repulsed back very effectively. The credit must be given to the law enforcement agencies who retaliated very strongly. And as of now, 12 terrorists have been killed, 5 to 8 are holed up, and they are being encircled, and I'm sure they will also be taken out very effectively. You see, the state has to be prepared, the law enforcement agencies plus other institutions, and we need to enhance the capacity of our police and the on-spot resistance capacity of law enforcement agencies and the government institutions which are operating in this vulnerable zone in which they operate. They're making use of terrain, obviously. It's a vast expanse, the Balochistan landmass, which lends itself ideally to a kind of insurgency where hit and run tactics can be very effectively employed. But these pinpricks should not create a kind of a climate of despondency, because as long as the state is consistent, clear, and it takes on those militants without any hesitation, and there should be no quarters given to their sympathizers as well. We know that there were activists in Islamabad which agitated and tried to sully the name of law enforcement agencies. Uh, those linkages we can clearly draw with the sympathizers and those who are launching an epistemic campaign through their vile narratives. And as you know, as if on a cue, the raw Twitter handles, which always launch vile propaganda against Pakistan, they started with the news that much attacks are being done and so many casualties have been experienced by Pakistani law enforcement agencies, gloating and reveling in the plight of the law enforcement agencies. Now, who told them that an attack is in the offing? There are clear telltale signs, and the social media, which is obviously used in this information war, also needs to be monitored, and there should be some state regulation by which we can combat this menace. And if we are effective, resolute, coherent, consistent in our approach, and there's a whole of the government approach, I'm sure this insurgency can be taken head on.
All right. Now, Brigadier Janjua, you talked about the information warfare, and this is something that we've seen time and again coming from the Indian side. We've seen the EU Disinfo Lab report as well, and I'm sure we've discussed that in the past with you as well. And the way India is maligning Pakistan and undermining Pakistan directly, indirectly, or with other countries, on the regional fora, and through the social media. I mean, speaking of social media, as you yourself have said, there's clear evidence that the Indian social media accounts already had prior information of these attacks as they were happening in Mach. This continued spread of violence and chaos within Pakistan, directly or indirectly via India, is nothing new. What, in your point of view, is the action that Pakistan needs to take now under the current circumstances? Do you feel the way it is going through addressing it on different fora and, of course, giving facts and figures to the international organizations is enough, or does more need to be done?
I think, first of all, we need to set aside this maudlin sentimentality and confusion. There should be no ambivalence. This is a full-fledged insurgency rooted in particularism and separatism. This should be taken head on, and it should be distinguished from genuine grievances, which obviously should be assuaged through good governance and inclusive politics. Secondly, we need to be fighting this battle in the information domain, and we need to improve our counter information response, and our own narratives have to be stronger than what is being propagated. And also we need to be very effective in monitoring and ensuring that no recruitment is done through these social media platforms. As we saw that in Rawalakot, one of the Kashmiri activists, Riaz, was assassinated. In Sialkot, another Kashmiri activist was eliminated, and the names of Indian Ashok Kumar and Yogesh Kumar. Yeah, they are doing the rounds, and everybody has connected the dots. There is tangible evidence which links up idly with what Ajit Doval said few years ago, that we'll bleed Pakistan through 1,000 cuts, and we will use our resources to impose a kind of warfare which Pakistan's economy would not be able to sustain. Now, it is a manifestation of the same war that has been imposed. There are some manifestations in Kashmir, there are some manifestations inside Pakistan by way of assassination, and then there are telltale signs in the shape of active insurgency support to BLA and BLF. So all this is well known. It needs to be combated at a kinetic level, where on-spot resistance, capacity building, intelligence sharing, intelligence gathering. So that operation needs to be effectively varnished. And Indian attempts to portray themselves as innocent in all international fora need to be exposed. They have done a killing in Canada. Deep Singh Nijar's killing is a case in point. They tried one in America, and Nikhil Gupta is being repatriated from the Czech Republic. So there is a palpable, tangible, concrete evidence. All we need to do is to get our international law effort into a effective mold, package the evidence properly, and present a case in relevant fora like the Counterterrorism Committee of Security Council, like the Human Rights Council, and
International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, Brigadier Saab.
Yeah, ICJ, there might be some jurisdiction issues, but we can mull over the idea of taking this case to ICC and these relevant committees that I mentioned, where the relevant fora can have the right international law jurisdiction over this issue. So I think there are multiple options available, and all stops should be pulled to, carry out a multi-dimensional effort, kinetic, non-kinetic, epistemic, as well as societal awareness campaign to ensure that this climate of fear and despondency that is the aim of this wave of terrorism, it does not succeed.
Brigadier Saab, why is our organizations like the FATF silent on issues such as these? We see an open manifestation of terrorism and financial terrorism happening to destabilize Pakistan and other countries in the world as well. Do you feel that organizations like the FATF and others need to impose strict sanctions on India in the wake of all these events that have happened?
That is true. The FATF review is underway. India is being, scrutinized. There's a FATF review team which is scrutinizing the Indian financial mechanisms, and there are several loopholes which include the use of DSBNFs, use of the funds that are parked into offshore havens. Then there are issues with the NGOs and their fundings, and there is a very large informal sector of Indian economy which is outside any financial oversight or regulation. So those all issues are well known to the FATF members who are doing this review. All we need to do at our level is to point out those shortcomings, those vulnerabilities, rather those dangers to not only to the region but international financial order also, and international peace and security, because whatever emanates from India by way of a wave of terrorism would impact not only Pakistan but the rest of the world as well. And FATF review is a very important review for India, and this review would be concluded sometime by April, and by then a decision would be taken whether that FATF puts India into a grey list or not. But what must understand,
we need to see.
Yeah, we need to see, and we need to be cognizant of another fact, that FATF is also, it is impacted by the geopolitics. We know how Pakistan was hauled over the coals despite meeting all the conditionalities, and for 10 long years, the Indian review was put on hold. Now, mercifully, that review has come to pass, and it is up to us that we should highlight at all relevant fora what India is doing and present some kind of a tangible dossier of evidence to FATF so that they have something to, put India in the dock.
All right, Brigadier Saab, if we look at the different violations that India has had of late, I mean, there's a complete violation of Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 2.4 of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. should Pakistan highlight and continue highlighting this at all the different fora that it visits, or all the different fora where it is part of on different discussions? What more needs to be done as far as our government, the current government and the government that will come in power after the elections is concerned? How much of responsibility do we need to show in order to really put the light or the limelight on the fact that India has been deliberately trying to malign and destabilize Pakistan, the latest of which is what happened in Mach?
Absolutely right. We need to do this. And in the past also, Pakistan had given certain dossiers to UN, but I think this time around, we need to be a little more deliberate, package our evidence together, and provide a tangible proof to the UN bodies and forums, so as to frame India properly, both at international law level and at the level of those multilateral forums in which Pakistan is a member. We have OIC, we have SCO, we have other multilateral forums other than United Nations where we should highlight this Indian high-handedness. And I'm sure the UN's Counter-Terrorism Committee, that should take cognizance, provided we do our diplomacy very effectively. And then there are forums where we can seek the opinion of international law experts as to resolve the jurisdictional errors, jurisdictional problems, which India always invokes and tries and wriggles out. India is in violation of the UN Charter in Kashmir. It has already annexed an area which is considered disputed territory according to the UN resolutions, which are still alive on the UN agenda. So it's a violation of UN Security Council resolutions. India has been, carrying out wanton acts of killings, detentions against the Kashmiris, and they are affecting the demographic changes. All those evidence with the help of the Kashmiri diaspora and with the help of those Kashmiris which are actually being impacted inside Kashmir. We need to package together, we need to provide them the international law expert help so that that evidence can be packaged in a properly triable form in front of international forums.
Thank you so very much, Brigadier Raashid Wali Janjua Saab, to have joined us, to have talked to us about this heinous attempt by raw-funded terrorists who tried to destabilize the Mach region of Balochistan. But of course, their attempts were thwarted very effectively by our armed forces, and this is what they do. This is what they have been doing all along. We get to listen of this attempt, but there are 100 other attempts that we don't even get to listen to because they are thwarted even before they begin. We need to understand not only the role that our armed forces are playing or have been playing for the defense of our motherland, but also the need to respect those who are doing this for our country, for our citizens, while we sit here and relax and continue with our daily chores. Let's go to our second segment, and that concerns the day 116 of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. We've been joined by former Ambassador Naela Chohan. She's right here with me in the studios. Thank you very much, ma'am, to have joined us. Let's begin with the talks on the truce. The Prime Minister of Qatar says good progress is being made towards a new Israel-Palestine hostage deal between the US, Israel and Egypt. Hamas's political chief, the Palestinian, one of the leaders in Palestine, reviews the new truce proposal, saying that priority is to stop the brutal aggression against Gaza and complete withdrawal of the occupation forces. He said this could happen, but in stages. What are you foreseeing as far as this truce is concerned? We have heard so many times about truce and ceasefire, but nothing has ever materialized. Should we be optimistic this time?
You see, a lot of the details of the truce have not been made public yet. Number one. Number two, we have to understand what is going on there. What is Israel's position and what is Hamas's position? Because the negotiators are trying to reduce gap between the two parties. Now, Israel's stated position is they want to eliminate Hamas. And now they are talking also of probably a 45 days truce in which they will have exchange of hostages. What I understand is that this exchange would entail return of all the hostages that Hamas has to Israel, while Israel will return 4,000 Palestinians. Now, if you accept that position, it means that Hamas would not have any card to play because they have returned all the hostages, right? Hamas is asking for complete ceasefire, not 45 days truce, because you have seen earlier on also when you had a short truce, what atrocities were committed by Israel after the truce ended. And if you look at the ICJ decision,
look at how Israel violated blatantly the ICJ decision, even when it had asked Israel to, reverse or step back as far as its atrocities were concerned.
But sir, you have to understand the intricacies and nuances of that decision.
Okay.
It was Judge Donahoe, who is an American Jew, who was the judge. Number one, we must bear that in mind. Number two, they said that because South Africa had invoked the Genocide Convention. Now, Genocide Convention defines certain parameters of atrocities which could then be categorized as genocide. So, what the judgment says is that to reduce their violations to a level that it does not fall into Genocide Convention. But it does not stop them from doing this, number one.
Nor does it imply that they are involved in genocide.
No, they have not said that. They say it is a plausible evidence that
but
they
have. But they have not said it,
Yeah, but they say that they have plausible evidence, but this would be over years of deliberation that it will be proven if it was a genocide or not. Meanwhile, Israel not only continues with its atrocities, and their ministers are still making statements which fall in the category of apartheid. More than that is it's mainly an ideological battle now, because if Israel says elimination of Hamas, what is Hamas? Hamas is an ideology. And if they keep on committing such atrocities, this reaction will continue. So, you really can't eliminate Hamas if you don't learn to respect other people's right to life.
I totally agree with you on that. Ambassador Sahiba, I'd like to also understand the whole, galvanization around UNRWA and the stopping of its funding. Joseph Borrell, who represents EU, says that the EU has not stopped the funding as far as UNRWA is concerned, but many other countries have. And UNRWA says that if the funding is stopped, it won't be able to continue with its work beyond February. Antonio Guterres is going to hold a meeting with the major donors today as we speak. There's a difference of time, so I don't know what time it will happen. This is what Stefan Dujarric has said. Should we I have also a bit of optimism there that there might be some consideration by the donors to resume funding, or is that not going to happen?
You have to look at it in its context. Why did they stop funding? They stopped funding because while the rehabilitation work was going on, it was also in evidence of all the atrocities that Israel was committing.
And they were systematically giving evidence of it.
Obviously, when they are, if I give you money to spend on something, you have to report to me on what you have spent. So, if you are reporting to me on what you have spent and it is all the atrocities that have been committed, this is then an evidence against Israel in the international court. So, the global north, I would say, I am sorry to say, I would not even name one country, it is a global north's attitude that they are stopping funding to UNRWA because it is providing evidence. Now, in the negotiation they are saying, oh, this was perhaps some staff members that might have done so, but that is not true. The fact of the matter is that long as there is UN representation there, which is neutral observation of what is going on while helping the Palestinians, it is an evidence against Israel, and they do not want any evidence against Israel. So, there is inherent hypocrisy there. So, even if some countries are saying, oh no, we are continuing, others are saying no, like US has said no, it is basically with that agenda. They want to conceal the atrocities, the level of atrocities that is going on there.
And you know, the level of atrocities, Ambassador Sahiba, are going beyond the level which we have seen in the last few decades.
It is beyond imagination, but Saab, it is beyond imagination. Even I think today, some of these Israeli IDF people disguised as hospital workers
they gunned down
and shot
and Janine
in the hospital.
Yes.
So,
how low can you stoop to, and what level do you want to go to? And then you want to portray yourself as, you know, you are trying to do this for the people. Who are you doing this for? I think it is also, you talked about ideology, Ambassador Sahiba. I think this is also their ideology, to extinguish, to exterminate, to mow the lawn, as the statement has come a few months back, on everybody and anybody that comes in their way.
Because of their idea of greater Israel. What are the boundaries of greater Israel is not known. At this moment, they want to include Gaza as part of greater Israel. But what promise have you that they will not enter into Egypt, they will not take over Jordan? So, I mean, as a observer would say that all the regional countries have to now really stand together, because it might become an existential threat to their existence as much. Because Israel is like, you know, a monster that is hogging everything that is coming its way in their ambition to have a greater Israel. What is greater Israel? They keep on changing their maps when they show. So, really it is a very scary situation.
I agree with that, and on top of that you have the Israeli cabinet members and Israeli hierarchy that are getting together to form new enclaves for the Israeli settlers.
But that was their SOP, that was their modus operandi. They would go, their army would first destroy, level the ground, and the settlers, armed settlers, would then follow the army and take over the land, and they have the technology to immediately make homes and they become settlers. So, this is how they have been expanding. The other day we had this seminar in Quaid-e-Azam University, and the Palestinian representative showed that what was Israel as per Balfour Declaration and what is Israel now. What was Palestine? Israel was an enclave in Palestine. Now, Palestine is an enclave in Israel, and that too not accepted. You really do not know. When they are talking about two-state theory at this moment, I wonder what of the two-state will be left for Palestine.
I agree, but the fact is that a lot of countries at this moment are speaking about the two-state solution, that they will go for it, including the United States, including some European countries as well. But of course, one needs to look at the whole situation with a lot of skepticism because of the way Israel has been going on. Speaking of the United States, you know what happened over the weekend in Jordan when 3 of their service members were killed. And Iran says it is not behind it, and it has openly said it through its foreign office. But the US and the allies are pointing fingers at Iran, and they say they will retaliate. When and how the US retaliates is also another huge question mark, and what could be the consequence of it in the region is also another question mark. What is your take on this?
My take is it's a very alarming situation, because they have been trying to rope in Iran, because for them Iran is the biggest threat to Israel. So, they have to beat down Iran. Furthermore, what Houthis are doing is impeding Israel's trade, including with India, including with many countries, because the ships are passing from there through the Red Sea. So, they are deliberately trying to rope Iran in, and Iran is a very old civilization, 5,000 years of diplomacy, they are very cleverly avoiding to be embroiled while giving fuel to the fire. So, if God forbid Iran gets roped in, then things will get very messy. So I hope it doesn't.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But as far as current situation is present, we see a lot of complexities in the whole situation that are also slowly and steadily developing. Let's hope, coming back to the thing, that truce comes and that gives the leeway towards a more sustainable peace in the region. That is what we need. Peace, peace, peace is what is the key word in the world right now. Thank you very much, Ambassador Naela Chohan Sahiba, to have joined us and to have talked to us about this conflict that is really engulfing the whole world slowly and steadily. It was the Ukraine conflict, and now it is this, which is even a bigger conflict than what we had seen before in Ukraine. Thank you, ma'am, to have joined us. Last two stories very, very quickly. Firstly, Elon Musk announces first Neuralink wireless brain chip implant. He says that this has been implanted in one of the patients, and it has detected promising neuron spikes or nerve impulses, and the patient is recovering well. The company's goal, as per Elon Musk, is to connect human brains to computers. It says it wants to help tackle complex neurological conditions like that of Stephen Hawking, if you remember very well. And this is what Elon Musk also said, that if Stephen Hawking had been alive, maybe we would have been able to understand and control his situation as well. His product is going to be called telepathy, that will enable control of your phone and computer, and through them almost any device just by thinking. Mr. Musk's telepathy is not the first product that has come in the market. There are other companies that have come. Utah-based BlackRock Neurotech implanted many of the brain-computer interfaces in 2004, and Precision Neuroscience also aims to help people with paralysis. These are the updates, and of course, in the field of science and technology, the updates come almost every single day, but we wanted to share that with you. Finally, the Webb telescope has captured stunning images of 19 spiral galaxies, a batch of newly released images you can see in the parallel window, captured by the James Webb Space Telescope, show in remarkable detail 19 spiral galaxies residing relatively near our Milky Way that offers some kind of an opening or understanding as to how the galaxies were formed, how the universe was formed, as well as the galactic structure and evolution. These pictures were made public yesterday by a team of scientists involved in a project that is known as physics at high angular resolution in nearby galaxies. The closest of this galaxy is the NGC 5068, which is 15 million light years away. It's the closest. And the most distant is NGC 1365, which is 60 million light years away. Of course, these are just new discoveries that we have. We've seen so many television series on that, and this is now the reality of all of that. We will decipher, understand better our universe, and through the James Webb Telescope and so many other discoveries that are happening in the field of science and astronomy as well. With that, we come to an end of today's news, and we'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new segment stories that pertain to us here in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.